Hi, this is Coach Tom Callos, and I'm here to talk to you about pieces of media and what it means and how to get your thinking around it. Because once you understand the concept, it'll serve you in really powerful ways. And this is just a shift of your thinking that's going to result in you taking different action when you're trying and working to promote your school. So, you have some event coming up. It's Christmas, it's sleepover, it's a self-defense seminar, it's a black belt test, it's a regular rank test, it's the culmination of some project that a student has done, it's something you're working on, whether it be a self-defense curriculum or a girls self-defense or a boys to man project, or whatever it is that's your thing that you're working on, because as a master teacher you're always cultivating educational tools and resources for your school, because you're trying to market your school with what you're really doing in the world. When you have an event, I want you to think with regards or in regards to pieces of media produced by this project. So, for example, I was talking to Brian this morning, and Brian had a upcoming event. He's coordinated with the PTA to do bully prevention. He's had 9 kids sign up. He would have liked 90. And I said, well, Brian, how many pieces of media have you produced so far for this event? 0. No videos promoting it, no photographs on Flickr or Google Photo Storage, or no articles in his magazine or newspaper, which is your blogs, right? And each one of those pieces is an advertisement for the school that stays evergreen on the web and helps you establish a body of evidence that you are doing the work. If you're promoting an event that happens next month, you can always put a caveat in the description of the photograph or the video or the written piece or even the podcast. You can put, if this event is transpired already, click this link to see what we're up to presently. I mean, every piece of media that you produce is an evergreen advertisement for your school. So let's say that Brian teaches these 9 kids and maybe 25 PTA people knew about it. Kind of reminds me of what my student Trace did recently. He had 31 students graduate for black belt. Big deal. And I know how we do it. We train 3 to 6 months out for this test, right? If not longer. And I said, Trace, how many pieces of media did this event produce? 0. So you have 31 testers and their families. You have the other students in the school, 300 or 400, and you have 300 or 400 people who came to watch the event at the stadium that he rented. That's a very small amount of people in a community of 250,000 people. So what he should have had is had a really strong documentation and description of what these students were learning, what they'd gone through, what they'd overcome. They should have had 31 blog posts once a month for 6 months or longer. And then you're not trying to communicate what you do to your community through the power of your mind, ESP. You're communicating it in the ways that we communicate what we do, which are 4 ways. The spoken word, the written word, video, and images and modified images. If you're not producing these kind of pieces of media in the preparation for, on the day of, and then post-event, you don't know how to promote your school. You're missing a huge opportunity. Not only is it an opportunity to get the language of your school and your work on the internet, the biggest phone book in the world, and not just communicate these ideas psychically, right? Every time you produce a piece, you polish your game. You refine your language. You learn to use the tools of the internet, which you must learn to use if you intend to have a school of any consequence. Because not only is it a promotional tool, you're going to use these tools for education, to better educate both your students and the community. Don't you want them to know what you do? Don't you want them to see and hear about how powerful it is? So don't design a postcard for an event. You have to have a worksheet of all the media you can produce. And remember, in this media campaign, a little bit goes a long way. A little bit every day. A little eating, a little waste elimination, a little sleeping, a little training. You don't do too much, and you don't get overwhelmed and say, oh my God, I can't eat today. It's just I've got to consume too much food this year. I'm too busy to eat. You find food, and you eat just the right amount, hopefully. And marketing is like that for your school. I want you to think in pieces of media, and when you talk to me about your campaigns, say, hey, we have a black belt test coming up, and I want to promote it. And I'll say, well, how much are you going to write about it in your newspaper and magazine? He said, well, we're going to do one post every other day. And so how many months, how many pieces is that? Is anybody else writing about it? Oh, yeah, you have the candidates. So you're telling me you're producing 45 written pieces, each one with a link to your school, your phone number, what you do for a living, why you're there, what this test means. That's how many you're producing to the next test. Good. Now, how many videos are you producing? Well, you're having training almost every day for the candidates, 4 or 5 days a week. You're going to produce 3 or 4 small pieces for each video. So I'm going to have maybe 50 to 100 pieces of media by the time we're done with our video and such. And I'll say, wow, that's fantastic. How many images are you shooting? Well, I must shoot 15, 20 images per class. And I said, who's describing those and putting them on as advertisements on photo storage? And you say, I've got a gal who's defining each one. We're titling them. By the time that's done, we'll probably have 100 pieces of media there. And I say, now, with good descriptions of those pieces, you're starting to communicate to your community why you do what you do, what you do it for, who's involved, why it's beneficial. You're not trying to communicate your benefits through the power of your mental telepathy. You're actually showing and telling. And every piece you produce has a second, third, or fourth life. It's going to be written about in a blog. It's going to be posted on Facebook. You never write important stuff on Facebook. You write important stuff on your own work, then you share it to Facebook. Anything you write directly on Facebook is just, hey, I'm at the Fleetwood Mac concert. It has no consequence. But you don't write to Facebook. You write to other pieces and share it. If you put it on Facebook, expect it to come and go and have a little effect, sort of the way a punch in the stomach has an effect but doesn't win the fight. You got to really put your game into it, and Facebook is not the place. Your magazine, your newspaper, your video channel, your methods of communication, and the place you compile the body of evidence that you are the real thing, that you really do the work, that you know what you're talking about, and that you're out working in the community. You want people to know that story, and that's where you put it. So when we talk about your promotion, just tell me how many pieces of media you're producing. Are you doing a campaign to link yourself to literacy? How many pieces of media have you produced? Are you going to own self-defense in your community? Tell me how many archived pieces on the internet are now there. Is there 5 pieces, 25, 2,500 pieces? Show me the money, and stop trying to communicate what you do with these all or nothing pieces where you're spending your advertising budget to put this one postcard in the hands of people. Make sure you cover and hedge your bets using everything by attacking it a little bit every day. 1 to 2 hours a day of promotion every working day of the year, if not more. My name is Tom Callos. You know that, right? My phone number is 530-903-0286. I'm on Skype at Tom Callos. If you don't reach out to me and talk about your marketing and get your master's game on in marketing, don't blame me when money's tight. Because this is the root, cultivating the soil of the garden you hope to produce, that produces the food that you're going to use to feed your family. You must invest time in it. Okay, end of lecture.